Welcome to Greek for a Week. I'm glad that you are continuing to walk through with us the study of the book of First Thessalonians, and we are beginning a new paragraph, chapter 3, verses 11 through 13, and this is the final paragraph of chapter 3. This week, we're just going to look at one verse, verse 11, and then verses 12 and 13 will be next week. And then the following week, we will diagram this whole paragraph and then move on to chapter 4. So in this particular verse here, this is what I've labeled as Paul's wish prayer. So this is Paul's opportunity to pray to God, again, on behalf of the Thessalonians, but even more so on behalf of himself, due to the desire to get back to see the Thessalonians that he mentions both in chapter 2 and chapter 3. So Paul begins here by saying, now, God himself, who is our Father and our Lord Jesus, may he direct our way to you. So in this particular verse, we have God as the subject. Specifically, he emphasizes God as God himself and uses the nominative autos and even fronts that in the verse for emphasis. So Paul's transition word de is how he begins verse 11. I translated that as now. So that's signaling a new development, if you will, in the argument from verse 10 now into verse 11. I mentioned the autos for emphasis. So it's directed, the prayer is directed to God himself. The haimon here, there are several uses. This haimon would modify pater. This haimon here would modify kurios or Lord. And then you have the haimon here also discussing our way or the way. In this particular instance here, likely a genitive of relationship. And this would be, again, probably relationship as well or ownership. It's our way that Paul's referencing here. And then this particular optative verb here, katu thunai. That is a third person singular aorist active optative of ka to thuno. Again, it's the request to clear the way, to lead or to guide. And again, that corresponds back to verse 10 when Paul says that he has a desire in verse 10 to see the Thessalonians again. So this is that request that God would direct our way back to you, the Thessalonians. So that's verse 11. We're going to see a little bit more of the content and the purpose of this prayer in verses 12 and 13 next week. Have a great week.